Hello and welcome back to Senior Health, the channel where we turn science into strength and help you age not just gracefully, but powerfully. Let me ask you a quick question before we start. Have you ever felt like your legs are just not what they used to be? Maybe it's harder to get out of a chair, or climbing the stairs suddenly feels like scaling a mountain. If you've been told, well, that's just aging, I want you to hold that thought. Because today we're diving into a new perspective, one that challenges what many people think about getting older. Some of what we're about to share you might strongly agree with, others might surprise you or even go against what you've always believed. And that's okay. This video isn't about blame or magic pills. It's about real tools backed by science that can help you restore strength in your legs, sometimes in just days. Now, before we jump into the real details, do us a quick favor. Hit like, share, and subscribe this video with someone you care about. Your support gives us the energy to keep researching, writing, and producing videos that empower older adults everywhere to take control of their health. All right, now here's something that might shock you. What if your legs aren't weak because of age, but because they've stopped listening to your brain? Sounds strange? Well, it's not. And it's the hidden reason behind why so many older adults lose balance, strength, and confidence without any warning. Let's get into it. Let me ask you something, and please answer honestly. Have you ever stood up too quickly and felt like your legs didn't quite get the message? Or maybe you've walked across the room and realized one leg felt just a little slower than the other. Perhaps you've caught yourself gripping the handrail more tightly than before, just to feel secure. If you nodded even once, you're not alone. And no, it's not just old age creeping in. As someone in my 70s who's treated hundreds of patients over the last 4 decades, I've seen this pattern again and again, and I've lived it myself. The legs don't just get old. They disconnect. Our bodies rely on a communication superhighway, the motor neurons, to send precise instructions from brain to muscle. Think of these as the wires in a sound system. In your 20s and 30s, everything sounds crystal clear. But by your 40s and 50s, the static begins. By your 60s, the volume drops. Not because the speakers, your muscles, are broken, but because the wires are fraying. I remember the first time I noticed this in myself. I was walking down my clinic hallway, something I've done 1,000 times. But that day, my right leg lagged just a bit behind. No pain, no injury, just a slight delay. And I remember thinking, is this how it starts? But I also knew enough to ask a better question. Is this reversible? And the answer is yes. You see, many seniors still have adequate muscle mass, especially in their legs, but the signal to use that muscle has weakened. It's like having a full orchestra sitting quietly on stage, but the conductor's baton isn't being seen clearly. A fascinating study from the University of Calgary proved this. They found that even in seniors who felt physically weak, the muscle fibers themselves were still intact, just underactivated. The failure wasn't muscular, it was neurological. So what does this mean in real life? It means that your difficulty rising from a chair may not be because you're too weak. Your legs shaking at the top of the stairs may not be from fatigue. The sensation that your legs are slow to respond might not be in your imagination. It may be that your brain is whispering and your muscles can't hear. So here's a question worth pausing for. If your muscles aren't gone, what would it take to get them back online? The answer lies in restoring the neuromuscular junction, the tiny but mighty meeting place between nerves and muscles. This junction needs fuel, just like any high-performance system. It needs specific nutrients to recharge the battery behind your motor commands. Intentional movement to remind your brain that your legs still matter. Proper timing, because your nervous system, like you, works better with routine and rhythm. This isn't about injecting youth. It's about reactivating what's still alive inside you. Let me give you another example, this time from one of my patients, Mr. Peter, 68 years old. He came into my office convinced he was developing early Parkinson's. His steps had become short and shuffling, and he frequently caught his toe on the carpet. But after a detailed evaluation, his reflexes and muscle tone were actually normal. The problem wasn't disease, it was disuse and disconnect. We started with something simple, daily protein-rich breakfast, more on that in Chapter 2. Basic leg movement, drills after breakfast, choline and B-complex supplements to support neurotransmitter function. In just 3 weeks, he was walking with a steady, confident stride. Same legs, same man, but the wiring was back online. Now I want to turn the question to you. What if your weakness wasn't decline, but silence? What if your muscles weren't dying, but waiting for instructions? And what if restoring that connection didn't require a gym, just a plate of food and a few minutes of motion? The truth is, most people lose strength not from damage, but from inactivity and undernourishment of the nervous system. This is why leg strength can fade even in people who eat plenty or walk daily. If the nutrients that power the nerve-muscle interface are missing, the signal still weakens. And that's why, before we ever talk about building new muscle, we must ask, are you using the muscle you already have? If not, don't panic, don't blame age, just recognize the circuit is dormant, not destroyed. And in the chapters ahead, we'll show you exactly how to flip the switch, from disconnect to reconnection, from slowness to stability. Right after a meal, your body doesn't just digest food, it scans for instructions. And among the most powerful signals it looks for is leucine. Leucine is an essential amino acid your body can't produce, meaning you must get it from food. But it's not just a building block. Leucine is more like a foreman yelling, "Time to rebuild." It activates a key pathway in your muscle cells called mTOR, which triggers protein synthesis, the process of rebuilding muscle. But here's the problem. As we age, our muscles become harder to convince. This is called anabolic resistance. It's why many older adults say, "I eat plenty of protein, but I still feel weak." The issue isn't the amount, it's that your body isn't hearing the signal clearly anymore. I've experienced this myself. At 70, I was still active and eating well, yet I noticed my legs didn't have the same strength. That's when I realized the timing of my protein intake was off. Like many people, I was saving most of my protein for dinner. My breakfast was too light, toast, tea, maybe fruit. But muscles, especially in older adults, are most responsive in the morning, right after sleep when amino acid levels are low. That's when they need leucine the most. I'll never forget Mrs. Lan, a 67-year-old retired teacher who came to me complaining that even walking up one flight of stairs left her breathless. She was eating decent meals, but again, mostly at night. Her breakfast was barely enough to wake her brain, let alone her muscles. We changed that. I had her eat 25-30 grams of protein first thing in the morning, rich in leucine, whey protein, Greek yogurt, or 3 eggs. She followed it up with a short walk each day. Within 10 days, her balance improved. After 3 weeks, she could climb 2 flights without stopping. Her husband said, "You're walking like it's 20 years ago." So what foods are best? Whey protein isolate is one of the most efficient leucine sources, especially for older adults with slower digestion. Chicken breast, tuna, eggs, cottage cheese, and even tofu can help, though plant-based options like tofu have less leucine and require more careful planning. The goal is 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine per meal, which is about 25 to 30 grams of quality protein. And the key? Timing. Eat it in the first hour of your day. Pair it with movement, even a 10-minute walk to get the most out of it. Leucine isn't just fuel, it's a signal, a switch. For older adults, it's one of the few tools that can override the muscle's resistance to growth. When used correctly, it reminds your body that strength isn't something you've lost. It's something waiting to be reactivated. Most people have heard of dopamine or serotonin, but how many know about acetylcholine? If your legs feel slow, shaky, or uncoordinated, not because they're weak, but because they don't listen the way they used to, acetylcholine might be the piece you're missing. It's the main neurotransmitter that lets your brain tell your muscles what to do. Every time you think, "I want to stand," acetylcholine turns that thought into movement. Without it, nothing happens. But as we age, our acetylcholine levels decline. The receptors on our muscles also become less responsive. This breakdown in communication explains why balance becomes harder, movements become slower, and legs feel hesitant. You're not clumsy, you're just not getting a clear signal. Have you noticed your legs taking an extra second to catch up when you start walking? Do you ever feel like you know how to move, but your body doesn't respond as quickly as your brain does? I've experienced this myself. Around age 68, I started feeling a strange hesitation when rising from my desk chair. I wasn't dizzy. I wasn't weak. It was more like my legs needed a moment to realize they had a job to do. That's when I revisited what I already knew as a doctor. Acetylcholine was likely dropping off, and my body was telling me. The good news is that this can be addressed with nutrition, not just medication. Acetylcholine is made from a nutrient called choline. The most concentrated source of choline is egg yolk, something most people either avoid or underestimate. One yolk has about 150 mg of choline. 2 eggs in the morning provide over 300 mg. which can significantly increase acetylcholine levels in just a few hours. A 2012 review showed that choline-rich meals improved motor function and neuromuscular signaling within 6 to 12 hours. I had a patient, Mr. Bin, a 72-year-old retired mechanic, who said his legs felt unplugged. Like pressing the gas pedal on a car and not getting a response. He wasn't weak, just delayed. Tests showed no muscle loss, but his diet was nearly choline-free. We added a simple morning routine, 2 whole eggs, a cup of Greek yogurt, and a 10-minute walk after breakfast. Within a week, his stride was smoother. He came back smiling, saying, "It's like the pedal finally connects to the engine again." Let me ask you, are you still avoiding eggs because of cholesterol fears from the 1980s? Are you starting your day with toast and tea but wondering why your legs feel disconnected? Your nervous system may be running on empty. Now, if you're plant-based, don't worry, you still have options. Soybeans, quinoa, Brussels sprouts, mushrooms, and broccoli all contain choline. But be aware, the body absorbs choline from eggs more efficiently than from plants. That doesn't mean plant options don't work. It just means you may need a bit more volume and consistency. And here's something else. Acetylcholine doesn't just help your legs move. It supports attention, focus, and memory. So when you boost your choline intake, you're not only improving your step, you're sharpening your mind. It's a double benefit, especially as we age. Here's a quick protocol I now follow myself and recommend to my patients. Eat 2 whole eggs within 30 minutes of waking. Pair it with a leucine-rich protein like whey, cottage cheese, or Greek yogurt. Move lightly for 10 to 15 minutes. Walk around your home, stretch, or practice balance drills. Do this daily for 7 to 10 days and see how your legs and mind respond. So let me ask you again, are you starting your day with food that activates your muscles? Or are you eating out of habit and hoping for strength later? The communication between your brain and your legs doesn't have to fade, it just needs to be restored. You don't need pills. You need clarity, and acetylcholine might be the signal your body's been waiting for. You can eat right, exercise daily, and take your supplements like clockwork. But if your blood isn't flowing properly, your muscles simply can't perform. It's like watering a garden with a clogged hose. You may have perfect soil and sunlight, but the roots still wither if the water can't reach them. That's exactly what's happening in your legs when circulation starts to decline with age. And the hidden reason behind it. A drop in your body's ability to make nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a gas your body produces to help blood vessels expand. It allows oxygen and nutrients to flow freely through your system, reaching the working muscles that need them. When nitric oxide is high, your legs feel light, springy, and responsive. When it's low, you feel heavy, tired, slow, and sometimes even cold in your toes or feet. Have you ever noticed your legs getting tight after walking just a few minutes? Or maybe you find your calves burn faster than they used to. That's not just age. That's your blood flow failing to keep up. I've felt it myself. Around age 70, I started walking the neighborhood every morning like I always had. But one day, halfway through the route, I felt like I was dragging sandbags. It wasn't stamina, it was something deeper. My pulse was fine. My breathing was normal, but my legs were stiff and sluggish. That's when I revisited the role of nitric oxide. The most powerful and natural way to boost nitric oxide? Beets, specifically beetroot juice. Beets are high in dietary nitrates, which your body turns into nitric oxide, especially when you're active and oxygen levels dip. A 2015 study showed that just 250 ml of beet juice could boost muscle power in older adults within 90 minutes. That's fast and measurable. I had a patient, Ms. Ha, a 69-year-old retired nurse, who told me her legs felt like bags of wet sand. She wasn't weak on paper, but her capillary refill and oxygen levels in her legs told a different story. We started a simple plan: beet juice in the morning, a short walk, and a protein-packed breakfast. Within a week, she felt lighter. In 2 weeks, she was walking double the distance without pain. "It's like I found a battery I didn't know I had," she said. "So let me ask you, have you ever felt strong in your upper body but strangely weak from the hips down? Do your legs feel fine when sitting but quickly wear out once you stand or climb stairs? That may not be muscle loss. That may be blood supply failure. Here's how to use beets for your legs. Drink 250-300 ml of beet juice or eat 1-2 medium beets about 60 to 90 minutes before activity. That gives your body time to convert the nitrates. Then go for a light walk or do gentle stretching. Movement actually makes the nitric oxide effect stronger. If the taste of beet juice isn't for you, blend it into a smoothie with Greek yogurt, spinach, berries, and lemon juice. That way you're also getting antioxidants, protein, and fiber all working together. I know some of you may worry, but beets are sweet, won't that spike my sugar? That's a fair question. But the glycemic load of beets is low, especially when consumed with protein or fiber. The benefits to your blood vessels and oxygen delivery far outweigh the modest sugar content, especially when you're moving afterward. Here's the truth. Blood flow equals strength. When circulation improves, you get more oxygen in your muscles, more nutrients where they're needed, and faster removal of waste products like lactic acid. This means you don't just feel less sore, you feel more capable, you recover faster, you last longer, you feel younger. Let me ask you a final question. When was the last time your legs felt truly light? Not just pain-free, but energized, ready, alive? That feeling is not gone forever. It's waiting behind a wall of poor circulation, and nitric oxide is the key to opening it back up. If you're eating well, staying active, and getting decent sleep, but still feel your legs are heavy, sluggish, or just off, it might not be what you're doing. It might be what's quietly happening inside you. I'm talking about chronic low-grade inflammation, a silent fire that doesn't flare up like a sprained ankle or a fever, but still burns, slowly damaging your muscle performance, metabolism, and stability. Have you ever felt sore for no reason after a calm day? Or noticed your legs feel stiff even after you've been moving regularly? That may not be aging. It may be your immune system running too hot too often. I used to think the soreness in my calves after a 30-minute walk was just part of getting older. But after reviewing my labs and seeing elevated CRP and IL-6 markers, I realized my body was stuck in low-grade defense mode. It wasn't attacking anything specific. It was just inflamed. When inflammation is chronic, it interferes with everything. Your muscles can't build new fibers efficiently, your mitochondria, which power your cells, slow down, your nervous system gets foggy, and your recovery becomes sluggish. And even when your habits are good, your results don't reflect your effort. That's frustrating, especially when you feel like you're doing everything right. Let me tell you about Mrs. Thur, a 65-year-old yoga enthusiast. For years, she had practiced balance poses, deep stretches, and breathwork, but lately even holding a simple chair pose made her legs shake. She hadn't changed her routine. Her strength tests were okay, but her CRP levels were elevated. That told me what her diet didn't. She was inflamed. Her plate had fiber and grains but lacked dark leafy greens, those powerful plant-based anti-inflammatory warriors. So we started small. Each morning, she sautéed a packed cup of spinach in olive oil, added a squeeze of lemon juice, and paired it with scrambled eggs. That was it. Within 10 days, she felt more grounded. By week 3, she was holding poses again. Her legs hadn't gotten stronger, they had gotten calmer. Let me ask you, how often are dark leafy greens part of your breakfast? Do you usually wait until lunch or dinner, or skip them altogether? Because greens in the morning aren't just about nutrition. They set the tone for your immune system, telling it either stay calm or stay alert. And when your immune system stays alert too long, it gets in the way of your legs doing their job. Greens like spinach, kale, arugula, and mustard greens contain quercetin, a polyphenol that lowers IL-6 and TNF-alpha, the exact inflammatory markers that hurt muscle regeneration. They also bring magnesium to the table, which lowers CRP, and chlorophyll, which helps detoxify the bloodstream. On top of that, many leafy greens have natural nitrates, giving your nitric oxide levels a gentle boost and improving blood flow. My own breakfast changed after I saw what leafy greens did for my patients. These days, my plate looks like this: 1 cup of steamed kale, 2 soft-boiled eggs, half an avocado, and a splash of lemon juice. I feel better throughout the day, less stiff, more stable, and more mentally clear. It's subtle but steady, and it's working, so what about you? Are you feeding your fire or putting it out? Try this simple breakfast protocol. 1. 1 packed cup of lightly steamed or sautéed dark leafy greens. 2. Add olive oil, avocado, or an egg yolk for healthy fat. 3. Use lemon juice or apple cider vinegar to aid nutrient absorption. 4. Pair with protein like eggs, lentils, tofu, or Greek yogurt. Stick with it every morning for 10 to 14 days. You probably won't wake up with superhero legs, but you may start noticing less soreness, fewer aches, more energy, and a steadier stride. And that's where real healing begins, not in a burst, but in quiet consistency. Let me ask you this. What if the real reason your strength hasn't improved isn't because you're doing something wrong, but because your muscles are constantly fighting invisible inflammation. The solution isn't complicated. You don't need pills. You need plants. You need to calm the inner fire so your body can get back to doing what it's built for, repairing, strengthening, and moving forward. What if the reason you're not gaining strength isn't about what you're eating, but when you're eating it? After age 50, the body's response to protein becomes slower and more stubborn. This is what we call anabolic resistance. Your muscles stop reacting to the same protein they used to love. But the solution isn't to eat more, it's to eat smarter. Specifically, to eat at the right time. Let me ask you, when do you eat your biggest meal of the day? Is it dinner? That's what I used to do. A light breakfast, quick lunch, and a big evening meal. It felt natural. But once I hit my late 60s, my legs didn't feel strong no matter how much I ate. That's when I learned about the anabolic window, the short period after any physical activity when your muscles are most eager to absorb protein. That window usually lasts 30 to 60 minutes. Miss it, and your body might burn the protein for energy or store it as fat instead of using it to rebuild muscle. Think about it. Have you ever done light exercise or a walk in the morning, then waited hours before eating anything substantial? That may have been a missed opportunity to strengthen your muscles. I had a patient, Mr. Dung, 70, who was working hard to get stronger after a fall. He lifted light weights and drank protein shakes, always at dinner. When I suggested shifting his protein intake to earlier in the day, he looked puzzled. "Won't that make me gain weight?" he asked. But we made a change. 30 grams of protein at breakfast after a short walk, 20 grams at lunch, and a smaller, lighter dinner. After 3 weeks, he came back and said something I'll never forget. "My legs feel like they're actually listening to me now." The science backs this up. A 2014 study showed that when older adults spaced their protein evenly across 3 meals, their bodies built muscle 25% more efficiently than when all the protein came at dinner. It's not just the amount, it's the distribution. Here's a simple structure: 25-30 grams of protein at breakfast, like 3 eggs with spinach or a whey shake with berries. 25 grams at lunch, maybe grilled chicken with lentils. And 20-25 grams at dinner, like tofu with vegetables. This way, your body gets 3 strong muscle-building signals throughout the day instead of one delayed whisper at night. I know some of you are probably wondering, but I've been skipping breakfast for years. Should I stop? If you're metabolically healthy, active, and not trying to regain lost strength, intermittent fasting may still work. But if you're over 60 and feeling weaker, skipping the most critical protein window, breakfast, is likely holding you back. I tried skipping breakfast for a while myself. I lost a few pounds, yes, but I also lost power in my stride. Once I reintroduced early protein and paired it with movement, my legs bounced back, literally. Here's an example of my current morning routine. I wake at 6:30, stretch or walk for 10-15 minutes, then eat breakfast at 7:00. 2 eggs, sautéed spinach, half an avocado, and a slice of whole grain toast. That one plate gives me choline, leucine, anti-inflammatory greens, healthy fats, and slow carbs, all at the time my muscles are listening. My legs feel more awake, my balance is sharper, and I stay energized through the morning. So let me ask you, are you feeding your muscles when they're most receptive, or are you unintentionally starving them during their most critical window? Are you saving protein for dinner because that's how you've always done it, even though your body's needs have changed? Timing isn't about counting the clock, it's about understanding your biology. In our younger years, we could eat at random and still build strength. But in our 60s, 70s, or 80s, the rules change. Your body doesn't need more food, it needs better instruction. And the instruction is, move, then eat. Eat early, not late. Spread protein throughout your day, not stacked into one meal. When you do this, when you pair movement, protein, and timing, you're not just fighting age. You're communicating with your muscles, telling them, "I still need you, I still use you, stay strong." And they do listen if you speak their language. And there you have it. If you followed this journey from the beginning, you now understand something most people never get told. That leg weakness isn't just about aging. It's about silent miscommunication, about mistiming, and about small daily habits that either build strength or quietly steal it away. You've learned how powerful nutrients like leucine and choline are not just fuel, but messages. How beetroot juice can unlock energy in just 90 minutes. How dark leafy greens can cool inflammation before it robs your muscles. And how timing your meals and movement can completely change the way your body rebuilds. Let me leave you with this. It's never too late to get stronger. Your body is still listening, it's just waiting for the right signals. So whether you're 60, 70, or even 90, your next step forward doesn't have to feel like a struggle. It can feel like a comeback. If this video brought you even a small aha moment, if you learned something new that made you feel hopeful, please take 2 seconds to click like, share, and subscribe this video with a friend or family member who needs to hear this message. Your support helps Senior Health continue creating science-backed, empowering content, especially for older adults who are so often left out of the conversation. We'll see you in the next video. And until then, keep moving, keep learning, and keep believing in your strength. Thanks for watching.